Hello, my name is Luc van Donkersgoed. I'm an AWS serverless hero and lead engineer at PostNL. And it is my pleasure today to tell you about the new EventBridge Pipes and Scheduler services. One of the central topics at reInvent 2022 was integration. Integration with external sources through services like App-Flow, integration between large data sources through Amazon Athena support for Iceberg and Spark, and through Aurora's Zero ETL integration with Redshift. And speaking of ETL, step functions introduced the distributed map functionality to parallel process gigantic datasets from S3 and invoke downstream services based on that data. But the part that I, as a serverless hero, am most interested in is application integration. And this is the area of SNS, SQS, Kinesis, and of course the cool new kid on the block, EventBridge. And these services allow us to build event-driven architectures leading to decoupled and individually scaling applications. At reInvent 2022, the EventBridge team released two major new services, which I will tell you more about today. And these are EventBridge Pipes and EventBridge Scheduler. So let's start with EventBridge Pipes. Pipes let you connect various streaming sources to other AWS services. And this has always been possible with Lambda functions, but now AWS will manage the integration for you, no code required. The sources for pipes are the same as those of Lambda event source mappings, and they include DynamoDB streams, Kinesis data streams, SQS, and more. Under the hood, it actually uses the same platform as event source mappings. This system continuously polls the source stream or queue, batches the messages if required, and then invokes the pipe when enough messages have been retrieved. The pipe will then forward the event or batch of events to the selected target system, which might be another queue, topic, state machine, stream, Lambda function, or another service. Currently, 15 different targets are supported. They are the same targets as supported by EventBridge event buses. The diagram on the previous slide might actually be a bit confusing. It looks like a single pipe could connect many sources to many different targets. But make no mistake, EventBridge Pipes is an explicit one source to one target integration pattern. The image on this slide is a better view of what pipes might look like. Connecting application sources to various targets is in itself a valuable feature, but EventBridge Pipes does not stop there. It also allows you to apply filters, which can select specific events from the source stream or queue and only forward those to the target system. This system uses the same filtering syntax as EventBridge EventBus rules. But maybe the most powerful feature of EventBridge Pipes is the optional enrichment step. This allows you to synchronously invoke a processing step, for example hosted in API Gateway, a Lambda function, or a state machine, which takes the incoming event and adds or transforms data before sending it off to the target system. So let's look at a few ways you can use EventBridge Pipes. The first is a simple forwarder, which takes any event on an SQS standard queue and publishes it to EventBridge. In this example, the messages from the SQS standard queue are sent to EventBridge without transformations. And because the SQS standard queue is an unordered source, the pipe will not try to maintain order when sending events to the event bus. The second example uses an ordered source, and in this case the EventBridge pipe will maintain the order of the events as they are sent to the SQS FIFO queue. The third example uses two pipes, each with their own filter. This allows us to separate a single source into two queues. So in this example, the pipe at the top will only match the green events and send them to one SQS FIFO queue, and the pipe at the bottom will only match the yellow events and send them to a separate SQS FIFO queue. The last example uses the enrichment pattern, in which IoT data is delivered to the stream, and additional data about those events is retrieved by a step function state machine. In this example, the state machine fetches the address from a separate table and the subscription state from another table. It then adds those values to the event and sends the enriched event on to an EventBridge event bus. Alright, so let's move on to EventBridge Scheduler. And Scheduler might seem like a bit of a confusing service, because people who have been using AWS for a while might say, didn't we already have a scheduling service within EventBridge called Scheduled Rules? And people who've been using AWS for a longer period of time might say, didn't we actually have an earlier solution than that called CloudWatch Events scheduled rules? And all of that is true, but there is a bit of history behind it. CloudWatch Events came first, and it allowed users to create cron-based rules or rate-based rules. And these rules always executed on UTC time, regardless of what region they were deployed in. Then CloudWatch Events was replaced with EventBridge, and with that move, CloudWatch Scheduled Events was superseded with EventBridge Scheduled Events. And the scheduling mechanism for EventBridge Scheduled Events is exactly the same as for CloudWatch Events, and it still runs in UTC. The main difference is that EventBridge Scheduled Events support a few more targets than CloudWatch Scheduled Events. And a fun fact is that CloudWatch Events still exist, and you can still navigate to the web console and create CloudWatch Events scheduled rules. But when you try to, it shows you a banner pointing you to EventBridge, telling you that EventBridge has now replaced CloudWatch Events. And when you follow that link, it will take you to Amazon EventBridge. And if you try to create a new scheduled rule within Amazon EventBridge, it will show you another banner, this time telling you that EventBridge scheduled rules have now been replaced by EventBridge Scheduler. And the big orange button at the bottom will actually take you to EventBridge Scheduler. So what's actually new in EventBridge Scheduler, and why should you choose EventBridge Scheduler over the old EventBridge scheduled rules? Well, the first difference is that Scheduler supports one-time schedules. And these might, for example, be used to trigger something in 24 hours, 1 year from now, or on exactly the 12th of December at noon. The second change, and arguably the most important one, is time zone support. And this is available for both one-off and recurring schedules. If your selected time zone has daylight savings time, your schedule will automatically adjust for summer and winter time. So 4 a.m. is always 4 a.m., regardless of the time of year. Of course, you can still select UTC or any other time zone without daylight savings time as well. Next, EventBridge Scheduler supports timeframes, allowing you to configure a recurring schedule that automatically starts and stops at given dates. Another new feature is the flexible time window, and this makes your schedules fuzzy. So instead of running exactly at the given time, it will execute anywhere within the given window after that time. So a schedule at 1 p.m. with a time window of 15 minutes will fire anywhere between 1 p.m. and 1:15 p.m. And this can be used to avoid many systems executing an action at exactly the same time. And the final big difference is the set of supported targets. EventBridge Scheduler supports all 270 AWS services, which amount to more than 6,000 different API calls. So let's take a look at a few examples of things you can build with the new EventBridge Scheduler. First, anytime a user signs up for your website, you might want to send them a welcome email 24 hours later. For this use case, you dynamically generate a one-off schedule at 24 hours from the time the user registered. Next, you might have a fleet of EC2 instances and you want to trigger a scan for updates every night. But you don't want all of these instances to hit your network simultaneously, so you use the time window functionality to make the schedule fuzzy. Each of these instances will check for updates anywhere between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Or as a final example, you might want to pull your stockbroker's results every weekday at 1 minute to midnight, whether it's summer or winter time. And in this case, you configure a schedule using cron in your time zone with an exact time of 1 minute to midnight. And that's it for my whirlwind overview. EventBridge Pipes and Scheduler are both new valuable services in the serverless landscape. And though neither of them is groundbreaking or earth-shattering, they do make it a lot easier to build, configure, and integrate your applications. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.